Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at the latest offering from MHD, which stands for Matthew Humphreys Designs. He's a well-known car designer in Britain, and he's obviously got his own watch brand here. I've reviewed one of his watches before, which was the chronograph, which was a really cool Panda, and this is his first automatic, the AGT. So let's have a look at the unboxing process. So first of all, we have a nice little folder here with some well-designed information booklets. There we have our details. Very nice, little showing of the watch there as well. And then we have our box itself, surrounded by this. So the outside is all completely blank. And then inside we obviously have our watch, and we have the MHD logo printed on the inside there. Okay, so here we have the watch, and let me get the watch out and move all the boxes out of the way. Okay, so what price are we looking at here? So we are looking at a watch which is 550 GBP, Great British Pounds. Obviously, yeah, many people will think that that is quite expensive. We'll have a look at it in closer detail to see if it is a nice and decent watch for the money. So first of all, it's based on the AGT stands for the Alcraft GT, which is a British electric car, and Matthew Humphreys was the chief designer for that car. So we will see a couple of automotive inspired features to the watch, which I think work really well and certainly will appeal to a certain type of buyer, you know, those people who are really into their automotive themed watches. So, £550, let's discuss the specs. So 42mm in diameter. You could put it on my around about 7¼ inch wrist. 42mm diameter. We have a height of 13mm and a relatively long lug-to-lug length of 50mm. And you can see it's because of this quite unusual shape to the case. Whilst we're talking about the case, it is worth noting immediately that it is it is a perfectly flat bottom. So if you do have either a very small wrist or a very, very rounded wrist, it may sit a little bit high for you. So that is something to be aware of. Personally, I've got it on my 7¼ inch wrist, and not really an issue at all for me, so that's good. Okay, weight-wise, 83 grams, so it does feel nice and weighty on the wrist. You know, feels good quality, no complaints there at all. Water resistance, 5 atmospheres or 50 meters. You know, it's covered if you have an accidental splash, but it is just a push-pull crown. So no amazing amount of water resistance there. So just be careful. I wouldn't go swimming with it. Movement, we have an automatic movement, and it's a movement that we see very, very often. It is the Miyota 9015. You know, basically the go-to affordable equivalent for the ETA 2824 or any other Swiss-made, you know, high beat movement. Has all the same specs more or less as well, about 40 to 42 hours power reserve, hand winding, hacking seconds hand, automatic obviously as well, and the ability to be very well regulated. This one is coming in at +8 seconds a day, so that's pretty good. It's not the most attractive looking, it is very industrial, but it does have a pleasant amount of pearlage on the bridging. However, the rotor is a little bit boring, and personally I probably would have liked to have seen a little bit of marking or a little bit of customization on it, even if it was just a sticker of the logo, for instance. Strap width, 20mm, so I think it's perfectly suitable for the size of case. It works well on the wrist as well. 18 months warranty as well, which is interesting. Why not just go for 2 years? But, you know, that's just one of those things, 18-month warranty. Okay, so a couple of the key features I find of this watch, which are really, really cool, is this really beautiful exoskeleton chassis style case, as you can see on the side. Have this beautiful polished edge, which is revealing the inside barrel. It is a 4-piece case. So that is one really nice touch, which we'll look in a little bit closer detail in a bit. And then the machine turn dial as well. Again, we'll look into it in closer detail later on, but it is really cool and really nicely, really, really well made. Okay, so let's have a well, let's just discuss it element by element. Let's start off with the dial. As you can see here, we have a concentric circular pattern to it, brushed steel, and it's technically a sandwich dial. So all of these hour markers are on a lower level, and it's loom filled, so the loom comes through. But we'll have a look at it in a little bit later with the macro lens on. But the accuracy that these have been cut out is really, really phenomenal. It's so nice and crisp and clean, especially for, I'm not sure if it's steel or aluminium, but for a metal, it's certainly very impressive that they can get that level of accuracy. The loom is okay as well, so you do get a nice showing of loom when it's dark. A little nod to the automotive theme is the fact that these hour markers between 12 and 8 are joined with one sweep around the outside as well, so that sort of gives it a bit of a speedometer kind of design on a dashboard. So the hands, I like the fact that the hands are a unique design. The only concern I have is that legibility is a little bit difficult. I like the way there's two black flanks with a little skeletonized, void in the center, and then this loomed stick, which sort of protrudes out. Certainly a unique design that you don't see too often, so that's always a positive, a nice thing to see. However, when you are quite far away and at a glance, they do appear a little bit on the thin side. So my personal preference probably would have liked to have seen them be a little bit bolder, mainly for legibility purposes. But it's still cool that they've thought up of a nice, unique design, and they're well put together as well, well made. Print work is very minimal. This is a really good example of a decent minimal design, effective minimal design as well. We've just got the logo in the top half. And in the bottom half, interestingly, I'm not sure why, but it says GBD rather than the actual model, which is AGT. So that's an interesting point. And then we have a printed minute track on the rehaut, which is also machine turned steel or aluminium as well. Okay, so moving on to the case then. Excuse me, just starting off with the bezel is technically a follow-through of the central barrel with a brush top and a very slight polished chamfered edge, which is really nice. And we have obviously this knurled side to this central barrel as well, which is visible all the way around, which is a really, really nice, obviously an automotive-based theme running through here, but it's just really nice to see it the entire way around. Sapphire crystal, as you can see, is ever so slightly raised above as well, so just be careful you don't knock it, because they can shatter if you do hit it really, really hard. So then we come on to the exoskeleton chassis, as they call it, which is a very cool name. Brush top, and if we flip it over, we've got brush bottom of the primary block of the case as well. But we have this really nice shapely side bit, which is completely polished as well. And every angle that you look at it, it is really nicely designed. It does give you the feeling of vents on a sports car, for instance. So certainly does mimic the automotive theme here. So that's a really nice touch, and it's just really well put together as well. Really perfectly machined for something so detailed like this, and all like these edges, for instance, really clean and crisp. So really nicely done. Moving on to the crown. So the crown is also knurled, as you can see there. It's good that it's got this little channel around as well, because it gives you the opportunity to get your fingernails in to pull it out to set the time. So it's easy enough to set the time. However, it's really difficult when it's pushed in. It's really difficult to actually twist. So you can't really hand wind it. But it's an automatic, so just give it a bit of a shake like that to get it running. Moving on to the case back then. Pretty standard exhibition case back to show off the movement. It's a screw-in case back. It's this polished flank and a brushed central disc here with all the details on. These are just laser etched. I would have liked to have seen them engraved personally, but there we go. Okay, so moving on to the strap then. This is another thing which is a shame, because It looks to be just a bog standard stock strap that has been bought in bulk and applied to the watch, because there is no markings whatsoever. So as you can see on the bottom, no logos, and as you can see on the buckle, very standard, straightforward brush buckle as well, tang buckle. That's not to say it's not nice design though, nice manufacture, because it is lovely and soft, lovely and supple, really comfortable on the wrist as well. I will say it does appear to be a little bit shorter than other manufacturers. I've only got a 7¼ inch wrist, and you can see how short it is there. Usually, you know, they've got a couple, 1 or 2 centimeters longer than that. I don't think it'll cause too much of an issue for anyone over 7.5 or 8 or 8 up to 7.5 or 8 inch wrists though. Okay, let's get the macro lens on, have a look at it in closer detail. If you can hear the roadworks outside, I apologise. It is very noisy. Okay, let's start off with the dial then. So checking out the print work, as you can see there, nice and crisp, the logo. Moving it down here, GBD, that's very teeny tiny. And we can see our really nice turned, machine turned dial base. You can see the pattern on it. Looking at our rehaut as well, machine turned there with printed on top. Again, let's try and get a decent view of it down here. Again, very nicely done, to very exacting tolerances as well. So looking at these hour markers, get a decent shot of that. There we go. As you can see, we've got a little bit of loom coming through there as well, which is a nice touch. See if I can make it even darker. There we go. Oh, lovely. So we can see here the how well it has been cut out. Let's get one of these smaller ones as well. There we go. So that's pretty cool. Really impressed by the accuracy of these. And here's our hands. As you can see, we have this skeletonized base with a loomed channel protruding out the top. All the same kind of design, except different sizes. Just could have done with being a little bit bolder, I think. Okay, so yeah, the dial really, really nicely manufactured. Really impressive quality. Moving on to the case then. So here's the top of our case with our brush top, and we can see where it joins up with our central barrel. Really, really spotlessly done, and a nice little chamfered edge on the top of the barrel as well, which joins up with the brushed bezel, and you can see the corner, the edging of the raised sapphire crystal as well. So here's our actual central barrel with our knurled edge. Let me just give that side a quick wipe down. So here we have our corner, our join, as you can see there, really nicely machined, and our polished end as well. So really remarkably made and constructed. So flipping it over to the other side, we'll just give this side a quick wipe. We can have a look at our crown. So again, our knurled crown, that little channel as well, plain unsigned end there, as you can see. And then if we flip it over, here's our flat base, so vertically brushed, and then our case back, as you can see there, very slightly laser etched and painted. Would have been nice to have seen these markings to be engraved. So if I just give the case, the exhibition window, a little bit of a wipe, we can see the movement. So the Miyota 9015, one we've seen many times before. Pretty straightforward, standard, bit of pearlage on there. And here's our rotor again, stock rotor. Spin it around, have a look at this bit. There we go. Seems to be a very neat and tidy one. Okay, and then finally we look at our strap. So here's our black stitching to match the strap itself. I'm usually not too keen on alligator print, but it seems to suit it reasonably well on this one. And then our very bog standard tang buckle with a brushed finish, as you can see there. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's plain and obvious that £550 is a lot of money, you know, naturally. However, I have noticed the trend of micro brands in particular. They've been really, really going for it in terms of quality of manufacturer, which obviously in turn does increase the price. It does mean that you are getting quality that you wouldn't necessarily associate with like a Chinese made micro brand. In fact, many micro brands are pushing towards the quality you'd only associate with a high quality Swiss made brand. So in this instance, I completely believe it to be true. The quality, I mean, we've had a look at it in really close up detail. It's absolutely flawless in construction. The way it's made is absolutely incredible. I really like the design as well. As you can see, you know, the case is a work of art, really. And the dial as well. I love the machine turned base to it, and the quality of how it's all been manufactured is just really, really impressive. For £550, personally, I would have liked to have seen a little bit of customization on the strap at least. That's the main thing that I personally would have looked for. I think from a design perspective, for my personal preference, I think the hands would have benefited from being a little bit bolder as well. It would have also been nice to see some sort of customization on the rotor, but that's not necessary, I don't think. That's just, you know, one of those things that would be nice. Yeah, it's a beautiful watch, really nice. I really like the way that Matthew Humphries Designs is a British watch brand as well. The more the merrier, I say. So it is nice to see another British micro brand doing a good job in providing decent, unique design watches, which are very well manufactured. Okay, so this was the MHD AGT, and that's what it's all about.